in Des Moines. For our girls program, we had a shuttle hurdle relay team that consisted of Elena Wilson, Aubrey Leonard, Hazel Frederickson, and Tatum Graydon. Tatum also represented us in the 100-meter hurdles as well as the long jump. And in the long jump, she finished state meet runner-up with a jump that tied her own school record. Speaking of school record holders, Samantha Lass also competed for us. Sam finished third place in the high jump. For the boys, we had Jude Benbow compete in the mile. Jude also helped us run a very impressive 4x800 relay. That group consisted of Brady Van Sickle, Jude, Sage Seeger, and Carson Van Sickle. Those guys broke a school record that had been standing since 1974. It's a very impressive race from them. Speaking of record-setting relays, we had a distance medley group. So those guys run 200 meters, 200, 400, and 800. New school record from Caleb Wisecup, Vanden Rosa, Brady Van Sickle, and Carson Van Sickle. Those guys finished fourth place in that race, and to the best of my knowledge, in the history of the Ogden Boys Track program, that's the highest relay finish that we've ever had. In addition, that time was a very impressive one. It would have been fast enough to win the state meet in that event for each of the 5 previous state track meets. Just happened to be a deeper year this year. In addition to helping us set school records in those 2 relays, Carson Van Sickle also competed in 2 individual events. We got 10th place in the 400-meter hurdles, and as many of you have heard by now, he brought home a state championship in the 800-meter run. Final recognition for me tonight, we want to mention academic all-state honorees. To be eligible for this award, athletes need to be seniors. They need to either compete at state or be an alternate for a state qualifying relay. They also have to meet pretty impressive benchmarks for ACT scores and lifetime or high school GPA. When I try to impress on people how exclusive this award is, I usually bring up seniors. There's usually half as many seniors who make academic all-state team as there are seniors who win an event on the track in the state track again. It's a very exclusive group. We've been very well represented in this award lately. This year we had 2 young men make academic all-state. That was Sage Seeger, Travis Fitzroy. Thank you.
Mr. Yelly prepared some recognition for those students, so they'll be getting those. We'll make sure that we get them. I think it just goes to show that we have successful students in the classroom as well as out there represented in several fashions. And that doesn't happen but without having successful coaches helping lead those programs. So thank you for all that you do as well.
Yeah. Was there anything else for? That was good.
Yep, that's it for that portion.
All right, on to consent agenda. Did you guys have any questions or clarifications on that?
I so move we accept.
I'll second that.
Taylor?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Merritt? Yes. Okay, next action items. The 28E cooperative sharing agreement. Mr. Hyder, do you want to tell us a little bit more about that? I assume you both have read it, but.
Yep, absolutely. So last month I shared with you guys that we were looking at partnering with the city of Ogden for possibly having an SRO at Ogden Community Schools. From there, you guys provided, hey, here are some things that I might need to know in order to be informed. I've engaged in that conversation with Mark Trueblood, the mayor, as well as Emily at the office there. And then I also got a 28E agreement from our lawyers. From there, we really identified a lot of the questions that you guys had with that partnership. One of the things that you guys wanted to know is how much is this going to cost us? And I wanted you to also remember that we get operational sharing for certain positions. And SRO is one of those from the state of Iowa that you can get operational sharing, equivalent of 2 additional kids on our certified enrollment account. So the dollars that it would generate for us is going to be about $15,600. We are signing, if you guys approve it tonight, it would be a 20% approval. We would pay for 20% of Ethan's salary. That just so happens to come out to about 15,600. So the dollars generated with operational share versus the expenses that it would cost for us to have him 20% of the time, it washes out. So it's a cost neutral position for the district. As I indicated, that 20% basis, we've really felt that we wanted that to be Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 3:30, and we wanted that to be a flexible time. Because we don't know what the needs are necessarily going to be as far as educational time, coming into the classroom, intervening with a student, building proactive relationships. And if we designated it only to be 7:30 to 9 every morning, we felt that that probably is missing the mark on some things. So we kind of have an agreement that a minimum of 8 hours a week, so long as it's between 7:30 and 3:30 Monday through Friday. And that's kind of spelled out in that operational share agreement. Defining the role, really, it says it in section E of that agreement. Whenever you ask lawyers to write up something, they're going to write it up and it's pretty lock solid. But if you define the roles, I think there was probably 7 or 8 things that ultimately, for me, it's proactively building relationships with our students, but also our families. I think it's very imperative. There will be an educational aspect, be able to help. Presence for safety. I think honestly this came to life with safety and the things that have happened in our recent area as of late. And I think a liaison between the school as well as those families. So if problems are happening, how can not only the school address it, but also how can we have that law enforcement? So it's kind of a 3-legged stool, if you will, supporting that child. And then finally, assisting with truancy matters. We cannot educate kids if they're not in our hallways and in our classrooms. And chronic absenteeism continues to be one of the #1 issues for students that are struggling. In the 2080 agreement, it does discuss how not only are we need to pull some of that responsibility weight, the families need to have some of that responsibility, but how can we have an SRO possibly help support that process as well? So I do think that he will have a role with that, and the county attorney. Honestly, it's even in our in some of the law that the county attorney will assign through mediation and support, and this might be somebody that can help with that. Last thing that they asked, or you guys asked for more information, is what West Central Athletic Conference schools are actually participating with an SRO. So I went to our superintendent meeting and I asked what other schools. We would be on the short end, but Van Meter and West Central Valley have been in a partnership with their city agency for 5 years now. We have a conference of 11 schools, so we would, if you approve it, we would be the 3rd of 11. But with that being said, I don't think that those numbers should necessarily deter. I want to talk about the experiences that West Central Valley and Van Meter shared with me. And they said that it's been nothing but amazing. They actually said the only issues that they had was going from a part-time 20% to how do we get those officers full-time in the district. And that has been something that has transitioned to, they were year 1, 20%, and now they are 100%, where the district pays 51% of the salary, the city pays 49%. And that SRO now is 100% allocated to West Central Valley and Van Meter. That has been, honestly, from the superintendent's perspective, the only thing that they are able to share with me. So hopefully that is the information that you need. I am eager for this partnership, and I hope that you guys feel the same.
And just to be clear about the funding on that, the additional operational sharing account, we would count that in the fall and it would go towards the funding next year. So you always see the funding for that in arrears. So like this last school year, we were benefiting from the final year of a shared superintendent with United a year after it happened. So the funding always happens 1 year in arrears. So that's why your notes say cost neutral after year 1.
Yeah. Well, I think this is something good to be in the front, like 1 of 3 out of 11. I think that's good. I actually love that. I had a really petty question. In the agreement, it mentions that he has to have a desk and like a computer and stuff. I was just kind of oddly curious if you do have a spot for it, because I know space is a premium, right?
Sure. I asked Ethan about that, and he said that in our offices, whether it be a study carousel, a room, he felt like that he doesn't want a designated location,
Sure,
that he would
that's
think that that is sufficient.
Okay.
We also discussed if he was intervening with the family, how he might schedule that meeting to be up at the city office because he has those materials and things in there. So if that was entered into that agreement, we've actually already discussed that with Ethan,
Good.
and he doesn't need a physical space here. He is comfortable being flexible in nature to
Sure,
find out where he can serve kids.
It wasn't an issue. I was just.
Yep, that's a great point though, because some of them do actually designate and say this is the SRO specific location.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, like, where would that be? Anything else, fellas?
I move that we go into this cooperation.
I will second it.
Taylor?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes. All right, moving on, lock and key replacement bids. Now, this is part of our fund, our grant?
Yeah, I actually wanted to clarify that. So we had allocated specifically for that Homeland Security $150,000 to address safety improvement across the district. This was not on there. But after talking to our teachers, working with Billy, trying to identify and minimize the amount of keys that are out there right now and create it's called a key tree, where there are certain thresholds of a teacher is going to get this universal key. Maybe a district administrator is going to get this key. Maybe a buildings and grounds and superintendent is going to get this key, is going to be beneficial for us. I think the most important part of this bid, if approved, is the ability for our teachers to lock their doors from the inside. Some of our doors across the district would require you to go and to the exterior of your room with a key to actually lock your room in the event of an Alice actual situation. If approved tonight, it will reduce the amount of keys, go to that key system, key tree, if you will, and it will also make sure that all interior rooms have a push button lock mechanism. So locking and securing a door in an emergency situation is not dependent on an adult with the key. It's dependent on a person to push that button.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously unacceptable to not be able to lock. So I'm all for that. Y'all have anything?
The only question I had, and there's a big difference in price. Was there really much different? I mean, at the end of the day,
it was the exact same bid. We were blown away because we've actually done quite a bit of business with that the higher bid vendor. That we were surprised that Doors Inc. actually came in significantly lower. We even met with Doors Inc. a second time, and we were like, "Are you sure you're bidding apples to apples?"
Yeah.
Because we thought we were maybe getting an apples and orange comparison.
Yeah.
But they reassured us that everything that we were asking for was included in that 40,000.
I figured that was already vetted out. I just different stuck out.
Yes.
Well, I
Yep.
thought that-
Great question.
If there's no other questions, I would make a motion to approve from Doors Inc. for the 46,710.
I'll second.
Taylor?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes. All right, spending money tonight. Let's move on to furniture.
Furniture, yeah, obviously. So we have actually in our PEPL, we have certain dollars allocated. And with that, typically you need to bring multiple bids to the table. Premier Furniture had a master agreement with the state of Iowa, which does a lot of the soliciting of competitive bidding on the back end. So we are getting the pricing at a competitive measure. So it's just, I wanted that to be clarified that we are only presenting one bid. We've done a lot of work with Premier Furniture, and they have already done as far as, I guess, your purchasing, they've already had the ability to go through the state of Iowa for that master agreement. Areas that we were trying to furnish and improve is an elementary art room. So if you guys remember, we are bringing art on at the elementary. We don't have the furniture to appropriately for that space. So we're purchasing there. In addition, some additional storage at the elementary. We are getting rid of some, I guess, cafeteria seating furniture that's outdated. It's actually almost a safety issue. So we're hopefully replacing some of that with some new furniture. And then the fine furniture that we're sitting at tonight is ultimately going to be going away, and we're going to be starting to refurnish with some flexible seating, some soft seating, just some modernized seating in a high traffic area, our library here. So that ultimately is the bid that you received tonight, is all of those areas that it's starting to touch.
Looks pretty straightforward. I'll make a motion to approve the furniture bid from Premier Furniture.
Yes, I'm gonna second.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. Alrighty, on to milk and bread bids.
Yep. Real quick here, Cindy sent out campuses who has received a little bid previously and that we've done work with. They informed the district that they are no longer going to be doing a route at our location. So it pretty much eliminates that we need to go with AE. So I think there's some people that are happy with that because they prefer AE milk over camp. So that would be the portion there. And then my understanding is the delivery of buns. We purchase a lot of bread, but the number one thing that we purchase is buns. And the one vendor was not going to provide buns. So it kind of eliminated that we needed Hano Gold because they were going to be able to deliver the buns that we need for sandwiches. So that's the information regarding the milk and bread.
And there would be no change with Pano Gold. They've had our bread bid for
Bread
a
bid.
number of years.
Yep.
Well, I move that we accept the bid as from these two, Anderson, Erickson, and Pinnacle.
I will second. Sorry.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. Okay, insurance.
Yeah, so we need to make sure that we are insuring our assets here, and this is from Hans. He was not able to come to our meeting tonight, but this is a really nice summary of about 80 pages worth of all of the insurance that we have for our district. This is ultimately talking about what our premiums were during 23-24 versus 24-25. You can see all the different coverages that we have. What I'm asking is for you guys to approve insurance premiums for the 24-25 school year to make sure that we have the appropriate coverage. I want to draw your attention to the last item, which says wind hail deductible buyback down to $25,000. So I don't know if you guys have heard or seen this in the news, but EMC and insurance providers across the state are starting to go to, with wind and hail damage, 1% over your overall assessed value. So if you look at how much our assessed value is for Ogden Community Schools, it's about $50 million. So if we were to have a derecho come through and we had significant wind and hail damage, our deductible would be $500,000. We can't sustain a deductible of $500,000. So if you look, we've gone from $8,000 to $36,000. That $36,000 is buying down in the event that we have a wind or hail, that we will only need to pay $25,000 versus $500,000. So of our significant increase of $49,000, $26,000 of it is just to buy down the deductible in the event of a horrific event here on our school grounds.
I mean, there's not a whole lot we can do about this,
No,
to be honest, right? This is kind of what it is.
And we have a great show about once a year now.
Right.
It seems with the weather as of late, it certainly does seem like that.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve this insurance renewal with Bain Insurance.
Second.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. Okay, we are reviewing 500 series policies tonight. Does anybody have any issues or comments, corrections, anything to those? These are mostly in reference to student health. For those of you who aren't looking at them, like immunizations, medicine at school, communicable diseases, things like that. Student insurance. parental custody. A lot of these, in my opinion, I mean, you can't, it just is what it is. Like, a lot of this is state law. Like, this, we have to do it. Once you
I would agree. And some of the changes were, it was going from provider to,
Yeah.
physician or physician to
Yeah.
provider. So it was
Just
a lot of
cleaning
just
up
single
language.
word changes in terminology. And it was good just for me to even read them to make sure that the things that we say we are doing in policy that we're actually doing. So
Yeah.
it was good for me to review those and make sure.
Mhm.
I move we accept.
I will second.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. Okay. Moving on, communications, delegations, and petitions, public comments. None of you fine people have anything to say today? Yes. What about you, Champ? You wanna? Good. No. Okay. All right. Let's move on then. Okay. Board calendar also pretty thin for June. A little more to do next month, but anything you wanted to add about that?
No.
Okay. Then we'll move on. We'll let you.
Superintendent report.
Yep.
You bet. I failed to put principals reports on here.
Oh, sure.
That was on me. We had the discussion. I was going to get it. Can we do that, or do we need to have it change it to the agenda? Okay.
Yeah.
Principals, would you guys want to go ahead and then I'll do my superintendent report real quick?
I thought y'all were getting the month off.
Well, honestly, it was, I'll own this. It was me communication. So, Amy or Maury?
Just a couple of things we talked about in May, just preparing for the end of the school year. And a success, I think, both for students and staff. On the last day, we just took time. Teachers forgo their planning time on the last day, and we had 3 different rotations for about 20 minutes each of playing miniature golf with their students, bingo, and then having a glow party. And it's hard to just capture in words, but just seeing the teachers having fun with their class and then with our special area teachers, it was a great way, I think, to send kids out the door on the last day of school. Then teachers came back that Tuesday and Wednesday after Memorial Day and just had an opportunity to meet with each staff member for about 20 minutes and just go through their individual career plan, but more so just celebrate their work that they had from the school year and just listen to kind of their goals and gain some feedback from my work partnering with them on how we can make the building a better place to be, but just really spending that time to hear what they thought about the year, which was hard for me to sit still for that long, but a rewarding opportunity to really meet and talk with each staff member. So I appreciated their time. Moving into the summer, we are starting week 2 of summer school, and we have about 70 students that are participating in summer school for 4 weeks. And it's nice to have, we have 6 teachers that are working in small groups, and they're working through some research-based interventions. But it's great to see the kids coming in and out of the building alongside of, we have Kids Club back in the building this year, so it doesn't really feel like summer. Because there's people, both big and little people in the building, which is great. And then I think about a celebration, thinking about the summer, is we don't sometimes know of all the hidden work that our building secretaries do, wrapping up one school year and preparing for the next, and just appreciate Brenda McLeod's work in thinking through, these are the things that we need to do, what about this, have you thought through this, let's partner on this, and definitely could not wrap up one year and prepare for another without the work that she does.
I apologize in advance for my allergy-ravaged voice. But the majority of the school year's end was positive. Obviously, we had to push beyond a pretty tragic event to finish the year up. High school finals came off without any issues. The high school class of 2024 had a 100% graduation rate, thanks to the relentless efforts of several of our teachers. Our middle school kids got to have a fun day on the last day of school with skating and enjoying the outdoors. Eating some hot dogs grilled by Mr. Yelly and myself and served by staff members. Right now we've got summer school going, credit recovery for the high school. There are 8 students in there, which is significantly lower than the past couple of summers. And part of that is due to the fact that we had fewer kids fail classes and need to recover credit. And part of that is the great work that's being done in our at-risk program. Very important work done by Maggie Lloyd on that. I'm transitioning ownership of some critical files to Derek Carlson and going to get him up to speed on the conversations we're currently engaged in our building and departments. We're working on finalizing the combined master schedule and room assignments, locations for specific classes. That's specifically right now to the middle school. There'll be some changes that Ms. Wellness will have to execute in August as she gets back, prepares for the high school side of things. But all that's going on. And I think that kind of leaves us where we're at right now. It's been a great opportunity to work with all of you for the last 6 years. I look forward to seeing Ogden's future successes from down the road. And so, wish you all well.
Is this your last? You're
It's
done.
our last board meeting.
Wow.
So,
Well, thanks, Warren. We're rooting for you. We'll be paying attention to what you got going on up in Fort Dodge too. So
something going on.
I know, right? Yes, there is. So truly, best of luck to you. Somebody else.
Yeah, I would just echo those comments. Best of luck to you and good luck in the future.
Superintendent report, real quick. From my lens, I felt like the end of the school year in both campuses were a success. We wrapped up academic learning and really celebrated kids and really put a bow tie on learning, I think, and as well as those relationships. So sending them off, hopefully they're in a great place. Our staff is recharging their batteries, eager to come back for the 24-25 school year. So overall, I feel like we did end with a good note. The Stoneberger family continues to be our thoughts and prayers. Did want to let you guys know that his service was well attended at our campus here, and I felt like it was a nice program and service overall. Staffing, we are still looking for 2 teachers, but with that being said, we have a contingency plan in place. I would say really the contingency plan is in place unless we get a somebody to apply for those positions. Those would be a high school math as well as a high school industrial tech or ag position. But with those being said, we have a plan in place and we are ready to move forward. Safety, I typically give a safety update. I felt like the consent agenda items were heavy with safety, with the approval of an SRO as well as the approval of the locks. So I just felt like that was really critical elements that we saw movement and or progress this year. And then finally, I think that we have ultimately 12 people leaving our district in some capacity, either going to a different profession, different pathway, or sometimes even retiring. So I just want to thank them for all that they've done. For me, being a first-year superintendent, Peggy Nardini, Maury Rubel, and Eric Yelly, I lean on them heavily. I really appreciated all that they did to help and make sure that I was successful as a superintendent. So thank you for all that they've done for me. And I wish them nothing but the best of luck in their next chapter. That's it.
All right. Good deal. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Taylor?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes.